All right. Hey, everybody. I think I've mentioned this book in a couple of my videos. Maybe not, though. I don't really remember. But it occurred to me that I could say a few words about this book. In case you're not familiar with this is a book basically just about the history of the original Big Gold Belt. And if you're a huge fan of the Big Gold Belt like I am, then this is like some must read material here. I have the hardcover, which isn't even available for purchase. I saw that someone else had one in a Facebook group, and I immediately asked them, where did you get that? And they said that they had to like contact the author and like have it specially printed. And so I had to do that because I'm a giant nerd. But anyway, so I just basically wanted to talk about this book. So I'm going to have some sections like covered up here because I would hate to I don't want to lose the author business. I don't want to get in trouble for, any kind of copyright stuff or anything, but I just wanted to just basically walk you through what's in this book. So the preface from the author basically just gives you an idea of what the book is going to be about. Excellent shot of the belt right there. There is also a foreword by Bob Caudle, who was interviewing Ric Flair when the belt first debuted, and there's an introduction by J.J. Dillon, basically just talking about belts in general and just why belts are important. But chapter 1 is basically about how old the 10 pounds of gold was getting by the early 80s, and Jim Crockett was just wanting a new belt, basically, and just kind of the talks, and then just going into that. Chapter 2 is about Crumrine, the company Crumrine, and just their involvement with the belt. It talks about the relationship between there was a wrestler named Nelson Royal who owned like a Western wear store in North Carolina, and his son David was a sales rep for Crumrine. And so this relationship between the Crockett's and Crumrine was developed that way because, through Nelson Royal and his son David. And this chapter is amazing because it has like original planning notes, original concept, like design drawings of the belt. It talks about Jim Crockett getting back to Crumrine and saying do away with the NWA logo, basically, and just kind of talking about his foresight that WCW, or Jim Crockett Promotions at the time, was basically going to outgrow the NWA and leave, and he kind of knew that, so he wanted to be able to take the belt with him. I really like that story. So that chapter 2 is one of my favorites. Chapter 3 is about the strap, the history of like where the original strap came from. This company, Ralph Harris Leather, out of North Carolina, they designed the strap. It goes into detail about like the color of the strap, the color of the stitching, which I always thought was white, but it's actually gray. Like the little stamp that they use on the back, Harris Leather stamp. A little bit of detail about the company today. Really cool chapter, just about the strap. Chapter 4 is about Afx Studios, which did they're the ones who in the late 90s, they re-leathered the belt because it was obviously the strap was getting pretty old by that time. It is getting run down and worn out. And it goes into detail about the 5 cast belts that they made. They made a mold of the plates and made cast copies of the belt. They made 5 of them, and it goes into detail about where those ended up and why this guy made those to begin with. There's also like the Hulk Hogan head and like a picture of his head that they used in one of the segments. I think it was with the Warrior, I want to say, and like a concept art for this Wolfpack belt that they never ended up making, but it's a really cool picture and just neat information to have. Chapter 5 is all about the various nameplates that have been on the belt. There are like close-up pictures of the one that we all know, the Ric Flair one. It also goes into detail about the original first nameplate. There's a good shot of this with the misspelled Rick. There's also like original design photos for the Stinger nameplate, the Dusty Rhodes nameplate, and the Ronnie Garvin nameplate. The Ronnie Garvin nameplate was the only one that I think has never been on the belt at all to this day. They found the Dusty Rhodes one since this book came out. I think it was Cody who found it in an old cigar box or something, and he got together with Conrad Thompson, and they had a little photo shoot with it still on the belt. It was really cool. There are pictures of that out there on the internet, but very cool chapter about the nameplates. I really like that one. Chapter 6, the belt up close, is basically what it sounds like. It's just, it goes into each design element of the belt super up close. The lettering, the rope border, the crown, the globe, the grapplers, the stone holders, the swirl pattern. It even has pictures of the back of the plates. Very nice picture of the belt here. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Picture-wise, there are some really excellent pictures, and it's in this chapter especially, just some really super up-close pictures of each element of the belt. Chapter 7, the restoration. This might be my favorite chapter. So when the belt was tracked down, this is what it looked like. And you can see it's basically, you can't even tell that it's a gold belt. It's so tarnished and just so, it's just been left in such a state of neglect that it looks so bad. And this chapter is basically about them restoring the plates, how they got them back into shape and shined up really nice, restoring the leather. When this belt was found, it was on the Afx Studios replacement leather, and they were actually able to get with them who still had the original strap from when they took that off and re-leathered it. They still had the strap just collecting dust on a shelf. And so Conrad Thompson got a hold of that strap and got it back on the plates, and basically completed the belt. I just thought that was so cool. But yeah, and it just goes into detail about them restoring it, getting it back up to its former glory, or at least as close to as possible. The photo gallery is worth the price of admission itself. There are some excellent pictures in here, and you can see how awesome of a like a 2-page spread of this shot of the belt. And as I say, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the pictures in this book are worth buying the book. They're amazing. Chapter 8 is basically about the debut of the belt at the Battle of the Belts, this big super show that they had. Basically just the lead up to the show, and just the debut of the belt on that show. There's an interview with Ric Flair. I love this picture of him holding that belt. I guess this was the first time he had held the real belt since 2000, I'm guessing. Very cool interview with him. One of my favorite parts of this interview is when they took the plates off the leather, to show him all the, and they're on the back of the main plate. There's details about Nelson Royal's Western wear store, because that is actually the contract for this belt was between Crumrine and Nelson Royal's Western store. I don't know why that is. That's just a super cool little detail. But on the back of this plate, there's like a stamp, like engraved. It's says for Nelson Royal Western store. And Ric Flair just talks about, oh yeah, Nelson Royal, he was a great guy. And then he's like, but why is his name on the belt? And so he didn't even know that there was that intermediary there. He didn't even know that Nelson Royal was involved in the belt at all. So very cool interview with Ric Flair. Chapter 9 is basically a title history, and I love this little chart. Basically, each championship that the big gold belt, the original big gold belt, represented over the years, and in which years it represented it. It also has a detailed breakdown of the complete title history, like every title change that the original big gold belt went through in its entire history. The year 2000 on this chart is hilarious. Just like a hilarious train wreck. It's really something. Chapter 10, legal battles, basically what it sounds like. Basically just the courtroom battles between like the NWA and WCW, like over which organization got to keep the big gold belt, and also the WWF and WCW when WWF was doing their real world champion angle. Just some cool little details about that. Chapter 11, the big gold belt legacy, is basically just, it has it talks about where the big gold belt has popped up in mainstream sports and the different belts that have been modeled after the big gold belt, like the cast copies and the WWE branded version and all the WWE branded versions after that. Just goes into detail about those subsequent belts. And then there's a chapter, the last chapter is about just a little wrap up, basically, and it has some pictures of the covers of some magazines they're really, really cool pictures. So, Big Gold by Dick Bourne. Close-up look at pro wrestling's most celebrated championship belt. I cannot recommend this book enough. If you're a fan of the Big Gold belt like I am, it is a must-read book. The only thing that I wish that it had answered, the only question that I still have is what happened to this belt between 2000, when Scott Steiner had it, and when Conrad Thompson tracked it down. They don't mention Conrad Thompson in this book. They want to protect his privacy, but it's pretty common knowledge these days that Conrad Thompson, who, in case you don't know, is married to one of Ric Flair's daughters, owns this belt. He's the current owner of this belt. But anyway, I would really like to know what happened to this belt between 2000 and whenever Conrad Thompson got a hold of it. But I'm not sure that we'll ever know that. And if someone does know that, if someone knows where it was, like, did Scott Steiner just have it all that time? If someone knows that, then yeah, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know about that. But yes, Big Gold. The paperback is readily, available for purchase, on Amazon and elsewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, I just had to have the hardcover because I'm a nerd. But yeah, go out and get this book. And I've read it at least 3 times. As I said, I'm a huge mark for the Big Gold belt, and I'm a big nerd, so I love all this detailed history about it. So definitely recommend.